Mod 12 case study for EDL 851. So I started off reading the case study and I was evaluating the case. The main sentence that I came up with was that a teacher's tenure is at stake and I don't know if I want to be stuck with her. What I gathered from reading is that I probably did an evaluation later maybe than I should have. The teacher did not appear to be receptive to ideas that were given, although I don't believe I gave too many great ideas, if any at all. I completed another observation and I decided not to renew her contract. When speaking with the teacher, she pointed out that this was not fair and she gave me ideas as to why her evaluation was unfair. From having this discussion, I was left to understand that I'd failed this teacher from lack of supervision, and I need to decide now what is going to happen with this. Looking at the legal and ethical concerns, I do not see any legal danger of the dismissal. However, I do not know if there is a breach of contract because we were not given what their contract states. So it could be that there is a legal issue, but that would depend on the contract. As far as an ethical concern, looking at this teacher evaluation, in my head, I believe that is a huge ethical concern. I do not know how anyone can rate relationships with others or personality as a below, average, or above. That doesn't make any sense to me. I also believe it's an ethical concern on my behalf because I don't want to risk keeping the teacher because I don't want to give her tenure status if she's not going to be open to feedback and direction. However, I haven't really given her any supervision or feedback from what she's saying yet. So that is an ethical concern. For the observations, they have been completed with no actionable feedback or feedback at all as far as I'm understanding. I have not given any help to increase teacher improvement or learning. So, section 4, so I analyzed the data for some new data, and then I had to critique it as well for missing information because we did have quite a bit of missing information in this. So, the people that were involved are, of course, the principal, which we are saying is me. I've not given feedback very often. If I have given feedback, it hasn't been actionable. It is unknown what the supervisor is doing. Is that an instructional coach? Is that my responsibility to send that to them? I'm unsure in that aspect. It's also unknown how long it took for me to discuss the observation with the teacher, and we need to have some timely feedback, so that could be a frustration. I also know the teachers frustrated with the lack of supervision, and the students are not participating. And a lot of the times, if they're not participating, they're probably not paying attention. Although we know that's not always the case, but it's unknown where our school is located, and it's also unknown what grade level or subject is being taught by this teacher. And I think that makes a difference. How you approach, not with the feedback. I should have definitely did better with the feedback and the actionable feedback, but I think that different things are going to happen in different aspects. It might be that if you're walking into a high school or a college, it might be more of a lecture, even though that's not how you want it to be. In an elementary school, that would be completely different. So I feel like that's important information we have missing. So for Section 5, I synthesized the case information. So I do know that I have conducted several observations. That was stated. I do not know if I gave any feedback. And even from the second observation, went in, the principal observed the teacher and then couldn't think of anything to say, so just left. So right there, I don't know why nothing was said at all. I don't get that. So that's something that really needs to be done. That needs to be done better. Another thing was possible late observation. I know that we're given we're allotted so much time to do observations. So there's this time frame to this time frame for fall observations, this time frame to this time frame for spring observations. I do not know when this was done, but from reading it, I kind of think that it was done late in the period. And by that, I mean maybe the evaluation was due to the superintendent in a couple of days when it was done, or even maybe in a week. This is probably something that if I had noticed there was a teacher that would need more feedback, I would have done earlier in that testing window or observation window, whatever they would call it, so that I could be sure that we gave feedback and we could do another one before I had to turn that in. After another observation, the decision was made. I know that tenure was factored into it. I get that, because you don't want a teacher in your building that is not going to be receptive to things that are happening. But I also see that from a teacher side, because if you're not given feedback, then why would you be able to change that? And then once your tenure is in jeopardy, it would make me angry if I had never gotten feedback that wasn't actionable, or for that matter, if I didn't even know that the principal didn't feel like I was doing a good job. So I don't know, that kind of bothered me a bit. The form was filled out, and that form, as I talked about a little bit ago, I do not feel that that was a good form. I believe that this district, school, whatever, would definitely need to revamp that. I would not want to hand that to one of my teachers, because as a teacher, I would not want to get it myself. So when I think about what Mrs. Stevens said, she said she didn't receive any feedback. And if somebody did give her any feedback, they didn't give her any ideas. So definitely it wasn't actionable. And what other supervision was given? If it is the instructional coach's job to go in and help, it is also the principal's job to say, hey, I've noticed this. Do you think you can go and help with this? Or maybe let's call a meeting as a team and we can sit down together and come up with ideas. Either way, I need to figure out what is my best plan just for this situation. My option one was do nothing. The teacher will lose the job and I'll never ever get better as a principal. I will remain the same. It'll be stagnant and I will not grow. Option two was rethink my role. So what did I do with that? Did I give feedback? Was it actionable feedback? Did I give any supervision? What do I know now that would help me in that situation that maybe I previously did not know? I also looked at observing the class again, going in with a very specific objective. That is something that we have read about. Making sure that there is a timely review of that observation, and give actionable feedback, and then see how that goes. So those were some possible ideas I developed to improve the situation. So section 7, I reflected on those ideas I came up with, and for option 1, do nothing. The pros would be a potential poor teacher was not returned. However, the cons is I'm never going to get better. Maybe the teacher never gets an opportunity to improve. And I think I could set myself up as a hostile boss, because, again, if this teacher hadn't gotten any feedback or even knew that I didn't feel like she was doing a good job, then that's on me, not on her as much. Still on her, but I should have definitely been there to be helping. So my conclusion to that is this is a bad solution for all. My next one we talked about was rethink my role. I think that reflection is good for everyone. There have been some of those decisions, and I talked about the ethics and how I feel that way, and I don't know that taking tenure into a factor was a good idea, and I also don't believe that that form that I filled out and handed out with no feedback was any good. I also need to remind myself of my role in observations and feedback. I think I need to remember I'm not the teacher anymore, and what did I want out of it? What can I give these teachers to make them the best teachers they can be? The cons is the teacher's not a part of this process. There's no feedback or supervision for this teacher. So again, that's not helping the teacher. That's just helping me. So it's a great thing for me to do, but this is not my actionable plan at the moment. So the next one was to observe the class again. I would be better prepared to observe, to give timely feedback and actionable feedback, and help this teacher. What do I want her to improve on? The cons with this might be that she may not be receptive. I may have run out of time depending on when I did the evaluation. And I may have just completely undid any kind of positive relationship that I have with this teacher. So that could, make the observation not go well too. However, I do think this route is the most effective for both the principal and the teacher. So this is what my action plan is going to be. So when I designed this plan, I looked at the why. It is in the best interest of both parties for me to try to do this again, for the teacher to get some actionable feedback that she can use and create, and we can work together to make her more comfortable in the classroom. The when would be the same time period in class as previous observations. A lot of times different classes you're gonna see different things because of just the makeup of the class. So I think I would want to start with the class that I did the observation in to begin with, so that we can go back and I can have things to say. Hey, here's some positive things that I really saw. Here's some positive things that I really saw compared to the last class. Maybe here's some things that we can improve on. Here's some ideas on how to do that. So all those things are things that I thought about when I was designing my action plan. As far as the action plan, so what I would like to do is I would like to set up another meeting with the teacher before I even do this observation. And the very first thing that I need to do is apologize for my lack of feedback and my lack of supervision and my lack of help. We need to begin to build that relationship again. And if we didn't have one, then we need to start building it right now to the very best of our ability. I want to explain to her why I want to do a new observation. And I want to tell her that I'm going to have a purpose for it. I'm going to give her the opportunity to give me the purpose for it. Maybe there's something she really needs to work on, or she feels she's really lacking on, and that's what she would like me to look at. But either way, she's going to know what I am looking for in this observation before we even walk out of that meeting. We will set up a time. It's probably going to be a day because, as I said, I'd like it to be the same class period, and I don't know if it's elementary. I don't know if it's high school. If it's high school, it might be the exact same time, just a different day. If it's an elementary school, it could be at any time, depending. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to complete this observation, and I'm going to look at what we set up. What did we look at before? What did the teacher say she wanted me to look for? I'm going to look at those things so I can see there's always good things happening in a class. There's always some things that need improvement. That doesn't mean there's bad things happening. There's always good things happening in a classroom. So I'll be able to better focus on not necessarily just the kids not interacting, but what the teacher is doing and what good things are happening. After that, I would like to have a meeting within the very next day, 24 hours at the most, to go over that and talk about some actionable feedback, giving with examples, and come up with the teacher, what is our next steps to move forward? I think all of those things together, I think that's going to work because I'm hoping that talking to the teacher, and number one, just admitting that I was wrong. I feel like that goes such a long way with people, and too many people in authority won't just say, hey, you know what, I'm sorry, I was wrong. And I think that's important, and starting with that is going to help me build a better relationship. Asking the teacher what she needs to work on, or what she thinks she needs to work on, or not necessarily work on, but what she thinks she wants me to observe to help with, I think that's going to continue to build the relationship. And all in all, that's going to get us in a better spot. And I will know, do I feel like she is more receptive to getting feedback? Do I feel like we're going to be able to come up with a plan after this third observation with a new outlook on it? I believe that we'll have a much better perspective of what our relationship will look like professionally going forward. So to conclude the case study, this really helped me to look at what I was doing. It helped me to reflect. A word we use in our school a lot is pivot, and it definitely helped me pivot as to what needed to be done and completed. And I don't know, I'm going to create current and future successes within our school community in order to, when you have happy, healthy teachers who feel like they are respected and heard, they feel that they teach better, the kids feel that the kids learn better. So completing this case reminded me that I will often need to reflect on my behaviors and ideas. I need to not only give actionable feedback to my staff, but I also need actionable feedback to continue to grow. Like by that, I mean myself. And that is something that I learned from this case actually starting today. We've been learning it, but that is something I use today. It did not only influence my future as a building leader, but it influenced me a lot today. I am one of the teacher leaders in my building, and one of my duties is I am in charge of the behavior team. And I did not feel like maybe I had my best foot forward this year. And one of the things that I did when I sent out my last form that I would like them to fill out so that we can begin looking at things for next year was I asked them to let me know, how was I doing? What did I do that was helpful? What did I do that maybe wasn't so helpful? What did they think I could do better? And I will say I got a lot of good feedback from those teachers, and a lot of them actually thanked me for asking it all. I'm also going to need to be sure that I'm not only giving timely feedback with examples, but I need to be sure it's actionable feedback and there's follow-up. If you're not going to give feedback and you're not going to follow up, then there's kind of no point to an observation. If you give feedback and then you don't follow up, it's like you're like halfway there. So in order for this to be successful and successful for all, it's going to need to be actionable feedback in a timely manner where there is follow-up. Thank you.